So we're on day 20 of the book Meditations for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. Set a quantity goal. There is neither a proportional relationship nor an inverse one between a writer's estimation of a work in progress and its actual quality. The feeling that the work is magnificent and the feeling that it is abominable are both mosquitoes to be expelled, ignored, or killed, but not indulged. Annie Dillard. One more paradoxical truth about control. Often, the way to have the best ideas and to produce the best work is to develop an ability to forget entirely about trying to control the quality of your output. And the easiest way to do that is to focus on quantity instead. Quantity has a quality all its own, as someone once said, though there's an uncomfortable possibility that it may have been Joseph Stalin. In York, in northern England, where I grew up, the ancient walls that encircle the city are punctuated at 4 main points by gatehouses, known as bars, which these days mainly contribute to traffic jams, but which were originally used to keep a close watch on people attempting to enter the city, or to lock it down entirely in case of attack. I imagine a Roman guard or Viking operating the heavy wooden portcullis that once blocked each gate, interrogating would-be visitors, and then, only if satisfied with the answers received, grudgingly raising the barrier to admit them, before swiftly slamming it shut again. I can't vouch for the historical accuracy of this image, but it's the metaphor I've always liked for how control-seeking people, which is to say most of us, to one degree or another, tend to treat our work. We operate on the assumption that any idea we come up with probably won't be good enough. So we subject it to the scrutiny of a beady-eyed inner gatekeeper, and only reluctantly, if it first meets the gatekeeper's stringent standards, allow it out onto the screen or the page or into the brainstorming meeting. What this looks like in my line of work is staring at a screen slowly and painstakingly formulating half a sentence, reading it, deeming it to be inadequate, deleting it, staring at the screen some more, and then trying again. As the writing coach Stephen Lloyd Webber points out, it's ironic that people call this process writing, since the vast majority of it entails not writing or deleting things you've just written. And the situation spirals because each time you finally permit something onto the page, its imperfections dismay you so much that you tighten the quality criteria still further, until, to switch metaphors unpleasantly, you're so constipated, no words can squeeze their way out at all. This is the point at which a certain kind of self-styled creative person starts talking vaguely about falling in love with the process. I've done it myself. Since it's so agonizing to produce good work, the thinking goes, why not delight in the simple fact of working instead? But these days, I'm fairly sure this is usually a defense mechanism deployed by people who feel anxious about the eventual result of their efforts. And that it never really works anyway, because if it's just a fact that you do care about the outcome, telling yourself you don't isn't going to help. In a conversation I had with a friend recently, the creativity expert Robert Fritz writes in his book, The Path of Least Resistance. She talked about the sacredness of process and transcendental appreciation of one's process. I could almost hear a choir of angels softly singing as she rhapsodied. Besides, this sort of talk is only really tolerated among arty types. Try telling the customers of your accountancy practice or law firm you've decided to focus on loving the process, not filing their taxes or drawing up their wills, and see where that gets you. A more pragmatic and imperfectionistic way to ease up on a fixation with outcomes is to set a quantity goal. There's no need to pretend you don't care about the results of your work, or to eradicate the part of you that seeks control. Give that part something to do. Just make sure it has nothing to do with the quality of the result. 800 words per day. 1 hour on the side business every evening. 5 potential customers contacted. 3 pages of the material for the examination turned into flashcards, or the 3-hour rule we encountered on day 13. These are goals anyone with the available time can achieve, so long as you're willing to accept that, for now, quality isn't the point. The entrepreneur James Altucher suggests a daily practice of writing down 10 ideas about whatever seems compelling on a notepad. 10 people to reach out to, 10 possible plans for the weekend, 10 ways to make money, etc. But what if you can't think of 10? Here's the magic trick. If you can't come up with 10 ideas, come up with 20 ideas. Quantity overpowers perfectionism, as Altucher explains. Perfectionism is your brain trying to protect you from harm, from coming up with an idea that is embarrassing and stupid and could cause you to suffer pain. We like the brain, but you have to shut the brain off to come up with ideas. A quantity goal puts you back in the driver's seat. Instead of hoping you'll produce something good, you get to know that you'll produce something. So the alternative to the stare at the screen approach to writing is free writing, in which you set a time-based quantity goal, 10 minutes say, then write without stopping until your timer goes off. In no way is this technique only useful for professional writers. You can use it to write about any professional or personal challenge you're facing. The point isn't to hurry to generate as many words as you can. Writing slowly is fine, so long as you don't stop. The real point is to upend the standard arrangement in which your main activity, while staring at the screen on the page, is thinking of something to write. And only actually writing something if the gatekeeper designs it to let it through. In free writing, you fire the gatekeeper and write regardless of whether or not you've got something to write. If you can't think of anything to write, then write about that. Need I say that I hated free writing at first? Allowing one's ideas on the screen with no quality control violates everything the uptight perfectionist stands for, even though you can always edit or delete it later. Still, the method surprises me over and over. Sometimes because it leads to good writing or creative solutions, and at other times because it reminds me that when my output falls wildly short of my standards, when the writing's no good or no creative solution presents itself, the world never actually seems to collapse. That's the chapter. And I have quite a bit to say about this. Actually, a very good chapter. One thing that I often do, and I recommend others do, is to make a list of 108. Come up with 108 ideas on something. So 108 things you're grateful for. That's an easy one. And if you say that's too much, then I say, well, can you think of 108 problems with the world? And most people can. In fact, maybe today's newspaper has more than 108 problems with the world. So if you're so good at coming up with what's wrong with the world, why not come up with what's right with the world? So make a list of 108 things you're grateful for. Make a list of 108 ways you can add value to the lives of others. Make a list of 108 alternative professions. Doesn't matter how much money they make you, just something else you could do given your current level of health and skills. 108 ways to 108, how about this one? 108 things to do before you die. Right? 108 things you love to do. 108 meaningful, powerful, transformative experiences you've had in your life. And like this, it goes on and on. In fact, I made a list of 108 things to make a list of 108 on. This is a really good way to fire up your creative juices. And sometimes 108 is too short. Like once I began making a list of, I wanted to make micro meditations, so 108 micro meditations. But 108 was too short, so I kept going. I think right now the list is about 400 or 500, and I want to go till 1,444. And it's just so powerful, it just gets you into the flow, So quantity over quality. It doesn't matter if each of those points is amazing or not, but some really amazing gems are going to come out in the process. There is something called morning pages. It comes from a book called The Artist's Way, where every morning you write down 3 pages. It doesn't matter what you write about, you have to just write. You have to write 3 full pages. And if nothing is coming, you say, well, today nothing is coming. I really don't know what to write. I don't know what I'm doing over here. But here we go. We are writing. And it's quite stupid. I'm still writing. I don't know what I'm writing. And you keep writing. And what it does is in those 3 pages, the top layer of your mind, the buzzy layer of your mind, the busy layer of your mind, the one that's buzzing and busy and it's caught up in problems and reactions, all that just comes out onto the paper. It's just meant for you. It's not meant to be something you share with others. I mean, unless you want to. And in those 3 pages, you become familiar with your own thought process. And what's left is deeper, quieter, stiller, more intuitive. So a lot of people do this, morning pages. And that's an example of quantity over quality. And I heard about a professor who was teaching photography, and he divided his class into two parts. He said one part, section A, part A, group A, will be judged for the quality of their photographs. They have to submit 1 photograph of high quality, and that's going to be their grade for the semester. And the other group is going to be judged for quantity. So the more photographs you take, the better. So take lots and lots and lots of photographs. So the ones who were fixated on quality, they were looking for that one perfect photo, right? So they took very few photos, trying to get that one perfect photograph to then give to the professor. But those who were fixated on quantity were just happily clicking away, clicking here, clicking there, clicking left, clicking right. And it turned out that all the best photographs came from the quantity section, not the quality section. Because the quality section, too much of thinking went in. What should I do? How should I do it? But the quantity section just kept clicking away. And I don't know if you've seen these on television, they show a fashion shoot. The photographer just keeps going, click, 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 and the model keeps trying this position, that position, this position, that position. It's not unusual to take 2,000, 5,000 photographs in just a few hours. Because they know that out of those 2,000, 5,000 photographs, there will be a dozen that are amazing. That's the power of quantity over quality. So, one way to get over our perfectionistic tendencies is just to focus on quantity. And same with meditation. Just keep meditating. Doesn't matter if you have a good meditation or a bad meditation. Just keep meditating. Just keep practicing. Just keep doing it over and over and over again. And the quantity has a quality of its own. I've now been, doing this kind of teaching, sharing for so many years. It's been almost 15, 16 years, I think, maybe more. And just the fact that I show up and I do it. I mean, it may not every session is the best session. Not every session is something which is, my best work. But the fact that I just show up and I do it over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. Then out of all of that quantity comes some amazing quality. And there are some absolutely stunning, brilliant sharings, teachings which happen along the way. I think this is how we allow ourselves to get into the zone. This is how we allow ourselves to not be held back by the inner critic, which says that unless I do absolutely high quality work, I'm not going to do it at all. So that was the chapter for today, and it's a good one. I hope you also enjoyed it. We'll end here.